Warm welcome. We are with the latest on headlines today. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. Our top focus story in this bulletin. Well, as the Prime Minister Narendra Modi regaled business leaders in Tokyo, came a big business pitch from him. He announced the creation of a special management team exclusively for Japan in the Prime Minister's office. Now, delivering his keynote address at the business luncheon hosted in Tokyo for him, Modi said a conducive atmosphere is required for business to flourish. He also lauded the Japanese government for their warm reception, saying that good governance is his top priority, assuring investors that he will better the business atmosphere that Japanese investors got in Gujarat. Modi said India and Japan must lead the way in 21st century Asia. Later in the day, Modi and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will hold summit-level talks where crucial agreements are expected to be signed.
मैं जापान के उद्योगकार मित्रों से एक और भी बात बताना चाहता हूं। हमने तय किया है कि डायरेक्टली पीएमओ के अंडर में एक जापान प्लस इस भूमिका से एक स्पेशल मैनेजमेंट टीम में क्रिएट करने जा रहा हूं जो एब्सोल्युटली जापान को फैसिलिटेट करने के लिए डेडिकेटेड होगी और उसके कारण उनकी सुविधा बढ़ेगी। और इस संबंधों के कारण शासन में बैठे हुए लोगों का दृष्टिकोण कैसा होना चाहिए, ईज ऑफ बिजनेस के लिए इनिशिएटिव कौन से होने चाहिए, सिंप्लीफिकेशन ऑफ पॉलिसीज, इसके लिए कौन से कदम महत्वपूर्ण होते हैं, इन बातों को मैं जनरल तो जानने लगा, लेकिन साथ साथ स्पेसिफिक जापान रिक्वायरमेंट्स क्या है उसको भी मैं समझने लगा।
Now, Prime Minister Modi's visit to Japan has evoked sharp reactions in China already. A state-run Chinese daily has accused Japan of playing spoilsport in Indo-China bonhomie and dividing the two economic giants. State-run Global Times web edition said on Sunday that Indo-Japan ties face huge uncertainty in view of the rise of BRICS and emerging Sino-India cooperation. Meanwhile, Prime Minister, while addressing business leaders in Tokyo, made what was seen as a swipe at China's aggressive posturing in the East and South China Seas.
जो बुद्ध के रास्ते पर चलते हैं, जो विकासवाद में विश्वास करते हैं, वो शांति और प्रगति की गारंटी लेकर के आते हैं। लेकिन आज हम चारों तरफ देख रहे हैं 18वीं शताब्दी की जो स्थिति थी वो विस्तारवाद नजर आ रहा है। किसी देश में एंक्रोचमेंट करना, कहीं समुद्र में घुस जाना, कभी किसी देश के अंदर जाके कब्जा करना, इन चीजों की प्रवृत्ति चल रही है। ये विस्तारवाद कभी भी मानव जात का कल्याण 21वीं सदी में नहीं कर सकता।
All right, let's cut across directly to Tokyo. My colleague Gaurav Sawant, Strategic Affairs Editor, following the visit of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who's on a 5-day visit to Japan. These visuals beaming in live from Tokyo right after the Prime Minister made that speech. These are the latest visuals that we are getting in from there. Narendra Modi today spoke in Japan, where he of course focused on business between the two nations, saying very clearly that in terms of economy, it would be Japan and India who should spearhead Asia in the 21st century. He also indirectly took a swipe at China, where he said that expansionist methods being followed by certain countries will not lead to anything at all. These visuals, Narendra Modi there meeting dignitaries, official dignitaries from Japan in Tokyo. Well, clearly, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi there spoke to business leaders in Tokyo, he did make a very strong business pitch where India is concerned. He went on to announce the creation on what he said would be a special management team which would exclusively for Japan, which he would create in the Prime Minister's office. Now, while he was delivering his keynote address at the business luncheon which was hosted for him in Tokyo, Modi also said that a conducive atmosphere is required for business to flourish, thereby stating that a standalone team in the PMO will be made only for Japan to facilitate Japanese investment. I'd like to cut across directly to our strategic affairs editor, Gaurav Sawant, getting us the very latest from Tokyo. Gaurav, strong statements made by the Indian Prime Minister at this business luncheon hosted for him in Tokyo. Give us the biggest takeaways.
Well, the biggest takeaway is to convince Japan that rules of the game have changed in India. The problems that Japan faced in the past decade will not be there anymore. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke of his 100 days in office. He's spoken about how things have changed. He's spoken about seeing his track record as the Chief Minister of Gujarat. And that is where Japan was really enthused about investing in Gujarat. He says the same will be replicated in New Delhi. And the icing on the cake from what the India-Japan Business Forum tells us is the Prime Minister saying that a special office will be set up in the Prime Minister's office only to facilitate Japanese investment in India. So these are all the correct signals that India is trying to send to Japan to invest in India. Because despite India and Japan being global strategic partners, trade is restricted at just $18 billion. The effort is to double it in the near future and then take it past $100 billion by 2020, Preeti.
Also, Gaurav, the Prime Minister there, in that statement, in that keynote address, did not falter from maybe not taking a swipe, but indirectly referring to China, where he talked about how expansionism is not the solution in 21st century Asia.
You know, China is a situation that both India and Japan are trying to counter and tackle. China has intruded, or Japan has a border dispute with China in the South and East China Sea, in the Senkaku Islands. Okay. India has a border dispute with China, both in Arunachal Pradesh and in Ladakh. Both are also big trading partners with China. So this is a very, very difficult situation that needs to be tackled. And the message that Prime Minister Narendra Modi sends out is that this is the 21st century, this is Asia's century, and to make progress, it has to be done through economics, it has to be done peacefully, the countries have to grow. It cannot happen with an expansionist mindset of the 18th century. So as you rightly pointed out, he did not refer to China by name, but said these 18th century expansionist forces versus the forces of development. That's the situation the world has to grapple with, and India and Japan are the two countries poised to be Asian leaders and subsequently global leaders.
All right. Appreciate you joining us. Our Strategic Affairs Gaurav Sawant is getting us the very latest on this 5-day trip of Narendra Modi to Japan. Of course, the Japanese rolling out the red carpet there. You can hear the Indian national anthem playing as both Shinzo Abe from Japan and Narendra Modi from India standing by. We will keep getting our viewers the very latest, but would like to cut across right now to all the important statements. We've culled it out from Narendra Modi's speech, his keynote address at this business luncheon. For the benefit of our viewers, the biggest takeaways. Here they are.
मैं जापान के उद्योगकार मित्रों से एक और भी बात बताना चाहता हूं। हमने तय किया है कि डायरेक्टली PMO के अंडर में एक जापान प्लस इस भूमिका से एक स्पेशल मैनेजमेंट टीम में क्रिएट करने जा रहा हूं जो एब्सोल्युटली जापान को फैसिलिटेट करने के लिए डेडिकेटेड होगी और उसके कारण उनकी सुविधा बढ़ेगी। और इस संबंधों के कारण शासन में बैठे हुए लोगों का दृष्टिकोण कैसा होना चाहिए, ईज ऑफ बिजनेस के लिए इनिशिएटिव कौन से होने चाहिए, सिंप्लीफिकेशन ऑफ पॉलिसीज, इसके लिए कौन से कदम महत्वपूर्ण होते हैं, इन बातों को मैं जनरल तो जानने लगा, लेकिन साथ साथ स्पेसिफिक जापान रिक्वायरमेंट्स क्या है उसको भी मैं समझने लगा। जो बुद्ध के रास्ते पर चलते हैं, जो विकासवाद में विश्वास करते हैं, वो शांति और प्रगति की गारंटी लेकर के आते हैं। लेकिन आज हम चारों तरफ देख रहे हैं 18वीं शताब्दी की जो स्थिति थी वो विस्तारवाद नजर आ रहा है। किसी देश में एंक्रोचमेंट करना, कहीं समुद्र में घुस जाना, कभी किसी देश के अंदर जाके कब्जा करना, इन चीजों की प्रवृत्ति चल रही है। ये विस्तारवाद कभी भी मानव जात का कल्याण 21वीं सदी में नहीं कर सकता है।
Well, Narendra Modi there speaking at a keynote luncheon organized for him in Tokyo, where he made important points. Point number one, of course, focusing on the business interests of both Japan and India, saying very clearly that he's created a special management team which will exclusively be for Japan in the PMO and will go on to facilitate Japanese investment. Now, Modi also said that a conducive atmosphere is in fact required for business to flourish, lauding the Japanese government there for their warm reception, said good governance is his top priority. He also assured investors that he will better the business atmosphere that Japanese investors in fact bought in Gujarat. Modi also said Japan and India must lead the way in 21st century. Later in the day, Modi and the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will hold summit-level talks where crucial agreements are expected to be signed. One of them, of course, a civil nuclear energy pact is also expected to be brought up, maybe not signed in this particular meeting, but would definitely be brought up. Narendra Modi also in that keynote address, maybe he did not take a swipe, but did refer to China, where he went on to say that expansionist measures by any country will not be beneficial, especially in 21st century Asia. Well, that's the latest that we're getting in. Our Strategic Affairs editor, Gaurav Sawant, has been reporting live, getting us the very latest. He is on the phone line with us. Gaurav, can you take us through the itinerary of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi after this keynote luncheon? We believe that summit-level talks will be taking place later today evening.
Well, summit-level talks are set to begin in a while from now. In fact, the Prime Minister's official visit begins only today.
Yes.
With this reception that's taking place at the Akasaka Palace in Tokyo, and then this very elaborate tea ceremony. And this is a mark of respect. This is a mark of personal respect that Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is a very elaborate tea ceremony which signifies the kind of importance that is given to a guest after this reception at the Akasaka Palace. First, there will be a one-on-one between India and Japan's prime ministers. They, of course, have been in conversation for a day and a half in Kyoto already. Great personal bond, great personal ties. The two have taken their relationship forward. Now, this is extremely significant both for Prime Minister Narendra Modi and for Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, because both have to send a message not only to their own people but to the rest of the world how two big Asian giants, the second and the third largest economies of Asia, come together, and when they do, how they can transform the lives of their people and of the region. So something big is expected in the delegation level talks that take place subsequently through the day. Japan's Deputy Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, the Home Minister, the Foreign Minister, the Defense Minister, they've all come and paid a visit. They've called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and this delegation level talks will then talk on the nuts and bolts issues of various aspects, you know, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's energy, whether it's investment in India, Preeti.
All right, appreciate you joining us. Gaurav Sawant, our Strategic Affairs editor, is tracking every move of the Indian Prime Minister in Japan. His official visit starts today. Summit level talks to begin shortly. Trust headlines today to get you one up on all the developments taking place in Japan.